Okay, so here we are, another call, conference, podcast, video podcast for the Veterans Act. Myself with Lieutenant Colonel Russell Brownfield, and then we also have Daisy Bellott, who's our guest, and she's been through some of the training. She's very versed in her own life as far as the military and also the mortgage business. And Daisy, so welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And Russell, welcome, of course, as always.
All
so,
right.
So I was just going to take, maybe I'm going to try to do it in a minute. For those of you that are listening for the first time, what we do here at the Veterans Act is we bring conversations to the public with veterans and helping them transition from military life to civilian life. Now, I myself am not a veteran, but I'm an expert civilian. So the expert veterans, we clear that there's a delta, there's a gap, there's a bridge that once a person who's in the military, who's obviously extremely trainable, extremely skilled, and they have a mission, the people in the military have a mission. It doesn't matter what position you are in the military, the mission is to protect and serve the charters of freedom of the United States, defend, protect, serve, and there's more that the veterans could say about that. And then you go into the civilian world and it's complete anarchy. There's a million missions. One company has a mission X, another company has a mission B, a family has a mission this, a kid over here has mission that. The missions are all over the place. So it could be said that that's the beauty and the pitfall of capitalism, where you could create anything, do anything, go in different directions. Unfortunately, from our view, in the capitalist world, what's missing perhaps is that we also should have the same mission, which is to protect and serve the charters of freedom of the United States. Right now, that mission is all over the place. Some people literally put money over country. I mean, just saying it straightforward. So with that said, we use being trainable as a foundation to how to create and raise a fully functioning, self-determining nation, children, how to be fully functioning and self-determining in your career. Being trainable applies to any career. That's why it's advanced career training. And then one of the things that we do offer is the mortgage business. And the reason we offer the mortgage business, it's because what we know is the mortgage business. We are working on some people who are going to come on board who are in other careers that could also offer a transition for people in the military. But the one factor that we do keep in place, there's two actually. One is that you control your time. So we're all about giving people careers where they could actually create their time, manage their time, own their time, and really just get your time back. And then the other part is, make a lot of money. In the mortgage business, you can make a good amount of money. You can make enough money to live happy. You can make an abundance of money. It's one of those industries where the money's good if you have the distinctions and the discipline that we call experiential knowledge that we offer. So that's it. I said a lot. I look forward personally to hear the stories between Daisy and Russell, military life that I learned so much when I hear Russell and the other guests talk. So I'm sure, Daisy, you're going to be doing the same thing. With that said, welcome to the Veterans Act. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit, Russell? And then Daisy could introduce herself, because she'll say herself better than all of us.
Yeah. So hi, Daisy. How you doing?
I am well, sir. Thank you for asking. I trust you're keeping well.
Yeah. Doing well. I'm currently in the state of Alabama. Where are you?
I am in Florida, sir.
Oh, what's the temperature down there? And is it wet?
It has started raining, but it's pretty. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, like he said, I'm Russ Brownfield. I retired from the United States Army last year. So I'm about a year and a few months into my retirement. I'm enjoying it. Don't want to go back and do anything government. I'm done with that. And it was an interesting ride. I had most people don't understand how I did it, but I've got 44 years in uniform. I had 21 years in the reserve component and 23 years in the active component, jumping back and forth between the two. I'm married. been married for 29 years, and my wife and I have been together for 33 in total. I have 3 grown children, and they have managed to give us through blended and their own ability to give children. We've got 8 grandchildren now. We had one for a long time, and all of a sudden they just started appearing all over the place. And we just had 2 new ones this year. One was born just 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 weeks? 4 weeks ago. And one was in May. So that was exciting. And we're trying to enjoy all of them. We're trying to get them all in one place at one time so we can just love on all our grandchildren. Now, kids we don't care about anymore, but our grandkids we do. We care a lot about them. So but like I said, been in the military for 44 years. My career span across aviation, logistics, and air defense, and then ended up on force management. So that's what I did for all that period of time. I started out as enlisted and then moved into the commission world. So I was an officer for a while, and enjoyed every single bit of it. Now I've transitioned, and ironically, before I transitioned, Lou and I met each other, and I was interested in the mortgage business. I was actually doing more real estate, so to speak, than mortgage, and that was by default, by owning my homes and turning them into rental property and all that good stuff. And excuse me, and learning more on the real estate side. And then I found that there was, of course, this industry, this great big industry, that there's so much going on between mortgages and appraisal and inspections and builders, developers, purchasing, buy and hold, rental property, property management, all of that stuff. And so I had to figure out which one I wanted to do as a retiree, and put my best foot forward, but not be running the street, if you know what I mean. And so I found, in talking with Lou and talking to other people, that the mortgage loan originator was the way to go. You got quite a bit of ability to do some things on your own. You manage your time. You can, of course, be free to be around family a little bit more, and it just gives you some more flexibility. I wanted my time back, is what I wanted, and so this was the way to go, at least for me. And there's some other things that I'm doing on the side that are also giving me that ability. And then as Lou and I started talking, his, I would say, his love for knowledge and his love for people started moving into areas that I didn't even expect. And so we went from just talking about being an MLO to how this can move and benefit veterans, because he knew me as coming out of the military and transitioning out of the Army. And it was like, man, you're doing all of this. How can we really make this work for a lot of other veterans who are transitioning out and who are really at a point in their lives that they're starting to spaz on, what do I do when I leave the military? Because a lot of military people don't have an exit strategy when they leave the military. They want to work, they want to be productive, but time gets away from us as we're trying to leave the military, and we don't always get a chance to focus on the afterlife of the military, because we're still in uniform, and they want us to be ready and willing up until the day you out process and sign your DD-214, right? So but Lou stuck with me throughout this whole process, and we've been brothers ever since. We went from, hey man, how you doing? Yeah, this is Russ, this is Lou, and what you doing? And to, hey man, how's it going? How you feeling? To, hey brother. And that changed the whole landscape. And so, he's began to share some things with me beyond mortgage lending. And that was being a professional parent. Then it came into the fully functioning, self-determining. And that was one thing that you could really put to use right now, right today, that it makes it, if you want it to, it could make a difference. And then of course, it all started with the conversation of being trainable. So all of these things that came together started bringing Lou and I closer and closer, and then other people started getting on board with us, and we started moving a little bit in the direction of and creating what you now know as the Veterans Act, which was the Veterans Advanced Career Training, which it houses all three elements. And it's once this thing really, because right now we're on the launch pad and we're still putting this rocket together and making sure all the boosters are going to kick off, and we don't have any fuel leaks so that this thing doesn't blow up when it takes off. All that being said is we're still working it, and we're still trying to find the right people, because you got to have the right people to do this the right way. And Lou's been real patient in finding the right people, the right mix, and the right things in order to put the Veterans Act together. And he's got a big heart. He's big brain too, but he's a funny guy because he likes to mix. he's a jokester, and I am too. So we're on the same wavelength most of the time, but we also know how to agree. And I don't want to say agree to disagree, but we know how to agree and keep going, or we know how to disagree and keep going. And that's that fully functional, self-determining kind of thing that will help all, because veterans leaving the military can be fully functional. Problem is, can they be self-determining? Or sometimes they can be self-determining, but can they be fully functional? He's putting this whole package together where you got to be one and the same. It's got to be both fully functional and self-determining. It's not an either or kind of deal. So, but that's me, my background, military, 44 years, currently working on my mortgage lending loan, or should I say mortgage loan originator license. Once I get that, of course, Lou has spoken about, a vast new thing that's going to open up for me. And I'm looking forward to that. We've had, excuse me, we've had some challenges in our family, but that's neither here nor there. I'll get there. And still working on and making that happen, and enjoying my retirement, like I said.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. And Daisy, I want to benchmark that, to add a little bit, that what we assert is, with the education and resources that are available today, there's no reason for a veteran to have a disempowered life unless they're not practicing being trainable, because the VA offers all the resources somebody could need. They could do more. Absolutely could do more. We could always do more. But if you actually apply and participate with the resources that are available, and the literally thousands, if not millions, of people that are committed to your success, America's on your team. But you have to participate. You have to be trainable, and you have to learn what that is. What is it that doesn't have a person be fully functioning and self-determining to take full advantage of all the benefits and resources that are available here today? To be continued on that. Daisy, can you introduce yourself from your world? And I mean, I could read your resume, and I could read this, but it will take an hour, and it's phenomenal. So why don't you share what you want us to know about you, what you want listeners to know about you? And again, I'm confident that you guys are going to have questions back and forth. And then later on, I want to hear your experience of going through the Being Trainable course. You said some really nice things, but it's, share it with the world. And and how it could benefit other veterans. And then the mortgage business, you have experience in the mortgage business. So I'd like to ideally maybe end with a little bit of that, where you went through the orientation, what's missing, what's useful, what's possible. And the last thing I'll say is that we are, well, that's a lie. I'm a Cuban. It's not the last thing I'll say. What I'll say now is that, and I've said this to you, Daisy, and I know that Russell and I have said it many different ways. We're older people. We're elders. We're not elders, but we're heading toward being elders, let's say. And one of the things that I believe in, especially in America, there's no reason every single person should really have a career, a way to make a living, generate revenue with a team in a place they could call home. In their twilight years, call it, in their mid years, young years, whenever you want. But that's one of the things that we're looking to create and provide for very trained people. How to make a living doing what you love, at least so you could do what you love. And we know that the mortgage business is one of those opportunities. It's the American dream, own a home. So why not be part of the American dream makers, let's call it. So that's it, Daisy. So please share about yourself and your background and whatever you'd like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Moro and Mr. Brownfield, so much for the invitation to meet with you today. It is indeed a pleasure to learn about the great Veteran Act program that you and your team have put together for the military veterans. I am very excited to hear about it. A little bit about me. I served about 20 years. I have 20 years with the military as an active duty and also as a dependent. So I kind of know both worlds. And my tenure with the military, I enjoyed. It was some of the best memories of my life. I also, I was stationed in various parts of the world as a active duty and also as a dependent. So it was very, very good to be part of the military and a woman and be part of the military. I enjoyed it. When we moved stateside, I found myself trying to find something to do. In the military, my MOS was logistics. I worked in logistics and I enjoyed it. Getting out of the military, it was not very easy to find at that time to find a job in logistics. So I found myself trying to find a way to get something to do. I picked up the newspaper one day and they were asking for loan officers. I wasn't sure what the position entailed. However, I thought I would give it a try. I applied and I had an interview. I got to the interview only to find out that the owner of the company was a veteran also. He was a US Army veteran. That made me so happy because I was among friends, and I took the job, but not knowing anything about the mortgage industry kind of put me at a disadvantage. So I decided, well, I will take the loan officer position that he offered me. However, after being there for about a month, I did not know enough. So I decided to take on the receptionist position. I started working for the company as a receptionist, and But that was because I wanted to learn what the others were doing by seeing them in action. So that's what I did. And for 6 months, I held the receptionist position. And then I was able to go back to my loan officer position, where I was able to pick up the phone and call borrowers from the phone book. This was ultimate cold calling. I actually called the borrowers from the phone book and actually got loans that way. So after a year of working in that company as a loan officer, I became the office manager. I became the office manager for that company. And I served in that position for about 2 more years before I opened my own mortgage company. So my experience with the military, the leadership that we were taught, being all you can be, stuck with me. And I was able to I was able to bring it over to my civilian job in the mortgage industry. Um, and so when Mr. Moro told me about what he was doing, being trainable, and the work that he and Mr. Brownfield were doing, I became so excited about it, because you see, they were bringing together two worlds that I understood. I am very excited about the opportunity where the military core leadership values can come together with the mortgage industry. I thank you so much for um, asking me to be part of this conversation today. Thank you.
I have to unmute myself. That was, you could absolutely be the press secretary for the United States of America. That was very calm, cool, and collective. I love it. I appreciate it. And thank you for the acknowledgement, because I know it doesn't come easy. When I say it doesn't come easy, you don't just give them away. It doesn't come easy. Like it's a lot of value for you to say that. Can you share, maybe just can you, because you went through the orientation, but quite possibly more valuable is you went through the being trainable course, and the whole, some of the distinctions around being fully functioning and self-determining, and what does it take to be trainable. Can you share a little bit about that, what you got out of it for us, so maybe we could interact with that conversation a little bit. And then Russell, of course, bring up, there's questions you have that I don't even know, like logistics in the military, and how does it apply and how does it work? It'd be interesting to hear, just hear what distinctions come out of this. Can you share how the course was for you, Daisy, a minute or two or five?
Yes, it was so enlightening, because you see, I became so excited as I got more into the call, into the orientation. I was so excited about it. I got so excited because it brought forward to me what I did not have when in the mortgage industry. In other words, if only I could have been able to have access to the trainable information that you have with Veteran Act, if that had been accessible to me, it would have been so helpful to me, because going through the orientation made me see that this actually is indeed an area of work that one live in the military can do, because the leadership that one has to take, the how shall I call it? The, you know, the self being able to work and make it happen. It's one of the things that is stressed in the orientation, that, you know, no matter who you are, if you're willing to learn and you are trainable, you are able to succeed. And I wish I had that when I first started the mortgage industry. But I am so happy that this is out there for the other veterans who, like me, left the military and need something to do.
What's if you could pull or like, what's an insight or an example that opened up for you that you saw? Because we had the one conversation on experiential knowledge, like what's available here is what we call experiential knowledge, which is distinct from book knowledge, both extremely valuable, required. Book knowledge never ends, and neither does experiential knowledge. But we assert that with some book knowledge and specific experiential knowledge, you could fast track into the mortgage business like a career relatively fast. You still have to do the ongoing book knowledge and the training and the courses that are part of the policies, let's say, of it, the licensing part of it. But once you know the experiential knowledge, you realize that you could be in the mortgage business in 30 days, 60 days, easily, like a real career. And then there's work to do. But we take the mystery out of it. What would you say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's something that, okay, wow, I could see this where before I didn't see that, or if I knew this first, it would have accelerated that result. Are there anything that comes up like that? Like, you know, what insights, if any, did you get out of it, or that you could offer somebody might get out of it?
I think a lot of it is that you have the people who are there who will support you, who will help along the way. But also it gives you the insight that builds you up in the trainable, and being able to be trainable in the sense that it becomes hands-on, and not necessarily that you only have to know, but you are able to do it as you go. You are able to work with it and make it work for you, apply yourself to it. And this is one of the good thing about the mortgage industry. If you are able to apply yourself to it, there is nothing you cannot gain. You can gain, there is so much to gain if you are able to be trainable and apply yourself to it.
Russell, anything you see, anything you want to ask? It could be anything from, hey, where's Lakeland? Okay, I think you were talking about she's from Illinois, or like just relatedness. I'm curious to hear more about how she got there through your questions.
Yeah. So where did you start everything?
When you say start everything, which part, in the mortgage industry or the military?
Yeah, let's start with the military. Where did you begin?
Okay.
So you
You see,
enlisted?
once, yes, sir, once
Okay.
there was this really young girl who worked in the bank. And one day she went to lunch and she saw a picture of Uncle Sam that said, "Uncle Sam wants you."
Oh, the
And she
proverbial
went in,
pointing at you.
yeah. And so she went in to ask, exactly what is he wanting me to do? And the gentleman, and that was in the US Virgin Islands. And the gentleman took me aside and explained to me. And the next thing I know, about 3 weeks later, I was on my way to Puerto Rico, where
Oh
I
boy.
where I did my physical, and then from maybe a couple weeks later, was on my way to basic training in Fort McClellan, Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah, so and then I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, and then moved to Athens, Greece. I can keep going on, but yes, there was a lot, many piece how you call it, PCS,
Yeah.
being moved from one area to the other.
I noticed on your resume that you were you got some of your degree or education out of Hoffman Estate, out of Illinois.
Yes, sir.
Was
And
that
that
all
was
online?
online. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. And then from there, we went to Germany, we went to Hawaii, we went to McPherson, Georgia,
Was
and
that
it was
was that as a dependent or were you
as
still
a
in the military?
dependent, as a
Okay.
dependent, and in Fort McPherson, that it was in Georgia, the Atlanta, where
Yeah.
I decided that I would become a loan officer, and
Okay.
then went on to own my own mortgage company.
Fantastic. So you're still active in the mortgage business, all right?
I am still active. I am more in the commercial and church spaces. Like I do commercial loans and 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 loans for churches. Yes, sir.
Huh. All right.
Well, that's a perfect example of finding an area that you enjoy and you like. And I'm not going to call it a niche because churches are nowhere near a niche, but it's a category. It's a category, you know, and if you become versed in it and you get a reputation, and then, you know, people will come to you, leads will come to you, you become an authority in that area. So, and, you know, as a veteran, I'm willing to bet there's a lot of veterans who go to church. So
Yeah.
so it's a good way to get related, and part of making a difference is still, you know, getting leads, and that's just part of the game, any business. And if you're a person, I think, of integrity and do good, the word spreads, you know, like, oh, this is the person to go to, this is the person to go to. So Daisy is one of those people when it comes to that world. Like that. So she has a lot to offer to any veteran who's interested in whatever that space is, you know, whatever that space is. Another thing that I'll always assert, if you're a veteran and you get your mortgage license and somebody has a choice between a veteran or a non-veteran, I'll still say 9 out of 10 times you're going to get the first shot. You might not deliver, but that's on you, but you'll get the shot. You'll get the shot. I'm in the mortgage business and I'll give the mortgage to a veteran before I give it to somebody who's not a veteran. It's just something about serving your country that's I still believe and know that people appreciate, you know, and love and honor too, for that matter. So Daisy, you went through that mortgage orientation that we set up for veterans. I mean, anybody could go through it, but you got to see that orientation. Based on your experience, I'm not going to ask a specific question. I'm just going to ask you, give me the feedback, and then I have specific questions. Based on what you saw, what did you think about our orientation that gives someone the landscape of what's possible in the mortgage business?
It was quite extensive, and it provided a wealth of knowledge, you know, as far as how to go, how it would be, the person would have to be able to implement what you were putting forth. I really do think that it is a winner, and that we can do, not even having been in the mortgage industry probably for about 25 years, even with me having been in the industry that long, there was so much that I was able to glean, able to learn from the orientation.
What are what's something new that came up for you from saying, oh, what inspired or what, what distinction? Like you saw it and oh, and it could be a reminder too, right? A lot of times we just need reminders
Right.
of what we already have.
It was the ability to incorporate your military training with the mortgage industry, bringing it to the mortgage industry, and being able to harness what you already had with the military in the mortgage industry, because I found it to be very, um, how shall I say it? I found it to be very enlightening how, although the two are so different, yet you are able to bring what you learn in the military with leadership, being all you can be, and not giving up, that sort of thing. And especially, you would have to be able to work early, start early in the morning, and go until whatever time is over. I remember when I had my mortgage business, my daughter would say, "But 3 o'clock in the morning, Mom, that's not the time you should still be working." So, the thing is, but having had my military background, it's a bit easy. It was a bit easy to do that.
That's great. That reminds me, like my daughters have grown up with, Dad, you've never missed any events at school. My entire elementary school years, I never missed one event. How did you do it, Dad? I go, well, I'm in a business where while you see me on the phone sitting in the audience, I'm actually working. I could actually respond to people. Or when I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning doing something, it's my pleasure because at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I get to go to your track meet. Like this past Friday, London had a track meet. We had to get up at 5:30 in the
Right.
morning, go all the way to Moore Park in LA. And I live in Santa Barbara. We went up there, spent the half, come back by 3 o'clock, and I still got work done. But some people say, well, sometimes you have to work on a Saturday or Sunday. I go, that's true. And all the time you have to work Monday through Wednesday. I don't have to work Monday through Wednesday. I could literally go work out on Monday afternoon, 12 o'clock class. But I also do my work early in the morning. There's always it's a dance. But once you learn that dance, like a wave, that experiential knowledge that we talk about, you realize that, wow, I got the skills. I'm speaking like if you're a veteran, I got the skills. I got the training. This is not hard at all. And when you're talking about you can make 5, 10, 20,000 a month doing mortgages, you're like, wait a minute. How come nobody told me about this? Well, we are. We're telling you about this.
That's true.
We're telling you about this. But and most people don't tell people about an industry to get into that's going to be competition for them. They just don't. Just don't. They just don't. But we do. Cool. Anything else that comes up for you that you want to share that we're not asking or that's
One of the things I was thinking, in the army, we say, in the military, we say, you do more by 9 than most people do all day. And the thing about it is that I
I
think
hated that saying.
I
Ah,
I know, but we really honestly did, because by 5 o'clock, in some cases, 4 o'clock in the morning, I was up
yeah.
already.
All
And
old dark 30. Yeah.
oh, dark 30, yes, sir. And the thing about it is that when you take that skill set of being able to do your best, as anytime you are presented with the work, bringing it to the mortgage industry, it really honestly helps, because I think more than anything, I think a lot there was one of the factors that really, I think, why I succeeded in the mortgage industry is because of the military background. It did it The military background helped me to be all I could be in everything I do, even now. And you say to be the you say to be the call is at 2. I will be there at a 1:45, meaning at 2:45, I mean 1:45, because it is embedded in me that you have to be on time. And that you cannot be late for anything. And I would like to really encourage my fellow veterans out there that even with the active duty personnel, if it is possible, and that they want some information on the mortgage industry and being able to work in an industry that is profitable to them, residual income even, if not full-time positions, that it would be good to get with the orientation, with the Veteran Act orientation, because in that particular with that orientation, you are able to excel in the mortgage industry.
Thank you, thank you. We are, you know, one of the reasons we designed it that way is to, you know, sometimes we just wanted to leave no stone unturned on the context of what it is to be in this industry. It could, by the way, you could take the mortgage business industry out, go to the orientation and put in another industry. You could take the industry out, but there's an orientation, there's a way of being trainable, there's a way of, you know, finding a way to make a living, to stay healthy, be creative with your life. That's all like a context. It's also useful to go through it and see if you don't want to be in the mortgage business. So it's like one or the other. You do it, you get value from it. You do it, and you're like, wait a minute, this is not for me. That's great too. It's actually good to know what's not for you. It really is. I can't stress that enough. It really is good to know what's not for you. And if this is for you, it's great. The being trainable, advanced career training, that'll apply anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. Do you remember, can you share a little bit about the fully functioning part, being able to have a conversation with anyone, anywhere, anyhow, anytime about anything, and stay in the conversation without throwing a tantrum, without getting upset, being angry, throwing a fit, all the things that people do that they're not willing to have a conversation. Can you share anything you might have gotten from that, or the value of being able to do that?
Yes, the part about, you know, being able to speak, to talk to others in a way where they welcome what you are saying. And even if they do not welcome what you're saying, you still come within yourself, being able to reach others that way. Because it's not always that everyone is going to embrace what you are saying. However, it's just you as the professional, as the professional, being able to share what you are, what you have, without having a reaction to if the person is not accepting what you say. I find that area was very enlightening for me. It kind of gave because you see, in the mortgage industry, because there are so many people that you deal with, so many different type of people, that you have to be anchored within yourself, that you are not going to allow anything to take away the way you carry the message. Because I sometimes say, in the mortgage business, I remember when I trained the other the employees, one of the people I trained was my daughter. I trained her to be the loan processor. And she is one of the best out she is one of the best out, I'm proud to say. And you know, and I taught her, I want you to do it in a way that if someone is crying, that you cry with them. but you need to live the cry right where it was happening, because you may meet the next person who is laughing and you need to laugh with them. So in order to be successful in the processing, mortgage processing business, or being a loan officer, you have to be able to be flexible enough that you can laugh, cry with with whoever you meet along the whatever they are doing, being able to be relatable and deal with it, but leave it right there and move on to the next. And that she tells me, Mama, do you know that what you taught me, it works for me? Because sometimes you will find that the borrower is not always going to be so happy about what you are telling them. But then you have to be able to impart it to them in a way where you do not take away their dignity, or you will let it affect you.
That's a saying that we have is that if someone can't handle the truth now, they're not going to handle it if they find out it was a lie later.
That's true.
So you just tell them the truth now, and this is, I know it, you might not like it, but that person might be telling you what you want to hear, but when you find out it was a lie later, it's not going to be pretty. And a lot of times, you know, the kind of servants that we are in the mortgage business, if you come from service in the mortgage business, which I come from a customer service perspective, you know, you have people who might be upset about something they did that hurts them in their finances today, and you have to be able to get this point across without being rude, and that is that, you know, I wasn't there when you weren't paying the bills and you got bad credit. I wasn't there when you did this or that. If anything, I'm here trying to get you, with the experience I have, a lender to approve a loan for you, a couple $100,000, if not more,
Right.
under the circumstances you have today. And the good news is that you could still get a loan. There's so many different circumstances you could still get a loan, from great credit to bad credit. And then you have an opportunity to improve over time. So it's not like somebody's denying you. Lenders want to lend, and borrowers want to borrow. And that's why I like doing commercial like you do. The maturity level is a lot more. You know, first-time home buyers, that's a whole other delicate and really fulfilling career, like helping people buy their first home.
Yes,
but it usually is a little more delicate and more finesse in the ability to listen to their experience, their concerns, you know, which I would assert, you know, when you're in the military and you're carrying out, you know, weapons, you know, how do you make people feel comfortable around you when you're, you know, a lethal, deadly weapon walking around with? I mean, I'm saying it from a civilian standpoint. I know Russell recently said in one of the podcasts about 3 of the elements. Russell, you remember more than me. I still can't. I can remember safety. I remember safety, morale.
Yeah, it was safety,
Morale,
no,
moral.
well, it was moral. So so in order to carry out an order, you have to have the 3 things that you're not in violation of, and that was, is it safe, is it legal, and is it moral? And
okay.
if it's unsafe, you don't carry it out. If it's safe but it's illegal, you don't carry it out. If it's safe, legal, but immoral, you don't carry it out. You don't get to choose which one you're going to leverage against the order. All 3 have to apply. And
Yes,
so,
sir. Can I salute to that one, sir?
so that's how I operated, and many other of my colleagues, and even as a commander. You know, I didn't give an order if it didn't meet the 3. Now I get it that there are people that may not want it to follow the order, simply because it had something to do with, you know, them having to do some work. But for all practical purposes, is, you know, the legal, the it met all three levels. And typically significant orders don't necessarily come straight from supervisors, commanders. They literally they're coming from higher ups when you're talking about an overall mission. Now you may have a certain piece of that mission that you have to do, and of course there's implied things that you have to take care of in order to make sure that everybody's doing their part. But at the same time, you cannot violate those three elements, because when you do that, you are opening yourself for some very hard and very harsh things to come. And one of them is going to jail.
Mm.
The other one is getting people killed. And or quite frankly, it will test your integrity, because if you're doing something that violates either one of those things, you are now compromising you and compromising the values, the military values that you said that you operate and work up under, not to mention the Constitution for which you are to uphold. So
Right.
um so those are the three things that we operated in. And to go back to some of the things that you said about how this overlays in the mortgage business. I mean, a lot of the military, I will say the United States military, the armed forces, is designed to operate autonomously. We don't get into a, hey, if the head is cut off, the rest of the body falls. The Army isn't I keep saying the Army because of course that's one that is the largest organization out of all of them. But the armed services is not designed to operate in linear fashion. When something happens, another person is steps up and
The
takes the
chain of
mission.
command.
So exactly. So the chain of command is the way the chain of command is supposed to work. It works both up and down, right? And so, but the thing about the chain of command, in order for it to work, everybody has to know their role, and everybody has to play their role, and everybody has to agree on the roles. And when doing that, when that all works, the chain of command is a very well-oiled machine. It really is, because um, people then begin to not just work the mission itself, but they begin to work the humanitarian portion of that, the human piece of that, which is we care about each other. We're going to work with each other, and we're going to do what we need to do in order to survive whatever it is we're needing to survive, whether it's training up for war or actually conducting an operation in a campaign or in a um, wartime event. And so I was talking to Lou earlier, is that the biggest thing that we did as in the military, and you know this for sure, is that our role, regardless of what we did during the day or during the week, uh, was to be able to win this nation's wars. Period. We're supposed to
True.
go out and fight. Yeah, we're raising families, we're raising children, we're doing things, we're going to the grocery store, we're doing all of this stuff. But when you put on the uniform and you go down range, or you're putting on the uniform and you're going in the unit, you're training to win this nation's wars. I get it. We've got all kinds of things going on. We've got the logistical tail, we've got the maintenance, we've got all the food, the chow, we've got the armor, we got the aviation, we've got the air defense, we've got the military police, all of these things that operate and bring the military into its own existence, because it's a culture, it's a way of life. And so those three things that I mentioned are the core of the military being able to operate, because we cannot operate if you are being unsafe. We cannot operate if you are doing things illegal. And being unsafe is carrying your weapon
Mm.
in such a manner that if it discharges, you're going to kill someone, right? You cannot do things illegally, which is, you know, capturing someone and doing things against the Geneva Convention or any type of wartime war crimes. And you cannot be immoral by doing things in such a fashion because you just don't like Muslims, or you don't like Asians, or whatever the case may be. And then, of course, when we're not fighting, you still have to be safe, do things in a legal manner, and not be and have a moral compass of the things that you're doing. Because one of the things that you cannot do, which we seem to be doing right now in the military, is, we're harming ourselves through the sexual harassment, sexual assault. We're harming ourselves through gender discrimination. We're harming ourselves when we're taking advantage of the lower enlisted as senior enlisted or officers. And we're harming ourselves when we're not doing the things that the American people expect us to do. And we're harming ourselves when we're not truly being of service and doing the things we're supposed to do as a military in winning this nation's wars, with all of the other distractions between um, scandals and all this other stuff. We as a military have to be uh, um, sanitized from all of that, right? Desensitized from all of that, protected from all of that. I'm not saying we as a military be uh, unaware of it. What I'm saying is that can't be a distraction. So when we go down range, we're dying because of what's happening at home, and we're not winning this nation's wars because we're able to execute our mission. And so when we turn this around and we come back, we redeploy, and some of us say, you know what, I want to leave the military. What are we bringing back with us from that event, right? And so if we're bringing back the values that we live every day, those values being the Army values, or the values of just being a good human being, we're talking about being safe in what we do as a civilian now. We're talking about doing things or being a good citizen by being legally compliant with those things, and being moral about the things that we do on a daily basis. So as a mortgage loan originator, if you do those three things, you're not going to put your client in and do something that is illegal, that will cause your client to have a problem with the loan, or you have a problem uh, administering the paperwork, because if you do, you're going to go to jail, right? You don't want to do anything immorally, because you're there to service everybody. You don't get to choose who you shouldn't get to choose who you're going to help, right? And then the safe part of that is doing those things that would cause people not to be financially destroyed, because you don't want them to get into a portion of getting into, yeah, there's different things that you're going to use as a mortgage loan officer originator, just to qualify people for a loan. And if you don't qualify them, if you do the things that were being done in 2008 and on, where you weren't confirming their income, that was unsafe, because people were in homes they could not afford. That was unsafe. And it
Yep.
was and it wasn't necessarily illegal at the time, because you could allow that. You got away with it. You didn't get your hands slapped, and you didn't go to jail for it. And the moral portion of it was, were you really doing the right thing for the people in the first place? So those three aspects do not can go with you anywhere you go. And anytime that you are on the other side of that, you risk, whether it be family, friends, loved ones, or whoever, or a stranger that's walking by you. Um, those three things are, for me, they've been able to, keep me grounded, because if you tell me something and immediately wait a minute, that's illegal, I'm not doing that. you know, or you tell me something, that is not safe at all. I'm going to break my neck doing that, or you know, it's going to put me in a position that I can't recover from, or if I recover from it, it's going to be a lot longer than me originally getting there. No, I'm not doing that. And the moral part of it is that, you know what, that is not something I believe in, and I'm not doing that. That is not going to work for me. And so I exercise that not just throughout the military, but in as a mortgage loan originator, as I become one. And then you talked about, you know, the leadership aspect of it. Well, being in this type of business, you're going to have to do some things that, you know, you're going to have to be autonomous in this. You're going to have the decision making skills on doing the right things. You know, you have a certain amount of time. You have to get the paperwork in and get processed through the process itself. And then you mentioned something earlier about what your daughter was, and that's the portion that, even though as a service member, which Lou brought up again, you know, hey, you're carrying this weapon. Yeah, but if you're carrying a weapon and a loaded weapon, and your finger is inches away from the trigger, you being in uniform and having empathy for even the people that you're fighting against or fighting for, still will get you close to them to where they will, yeah, they're nervous, but they're not afraid.
Mm.
And so having that
Mm.
empathy, and as a mortgage loan originator, people may be nervous having a conversation with you. People don't know and don't understand the loan processes at all, but they will not be afraid to have a conversation with you because you're showing the empathy of, I understand you don't get it. I understand this is where you want to go. I get it that these are the things that you want to go and want to do. And like Lou said, look, I wasn't with you when you weren't paying your bills, but if you stick with me, we've got places that we can get you. Today, maybe you don't qualify, but that doesn't
No,
that does
it's
not
true.
disqualify you tomorrow.
It's
Tomorrow
true.
being, where are we going to go in the next 3 to 6 months or 6 months to a year? You know, so we're not going to let you go and go, you know, because you can talk to anybody and you're going to get the same thing. But are you going to get the same level of care that you're going to get from me? Are you going to get the same level of conversation that you're going to get from me? And so being a service member and being in the service for as long as I've been in the service, I understand the role of servicing. I understand the concept and the commitment of service, and that it doesn't necessarily equate to uh, me getting a paycheck, because that's a result of my service. All the things that we just talked about that end up with my name on the bottom of pay to the order of is the result of me doing the job that I was hired to do, but doing it in a manner that what you talked about, doing it autonomously, making the right decisions with with the people, doing things in a timely manner, and caring about who you're doing it with. You know, I used to tell people all the time, you have to care beyond yourself. When you can care beyond yourself, that means that you know that everything matters in this event that we're going through. Nothing's really small. There's priority, but that's nothing really small, because it all means something and it all attaches to something that we're getting ready to do. And that's what gets you qualified for a loan. And for those people, the all the veterans that want to do something like this, excuse me, you're bringing a skill set to the table that most people don't have,
Don't have it all.
right?
At all.
And that, right, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that skill set is being trainable, because you've had to be trainable throughout the entire you could not survive in uniform if you weren't trainable, because you had to be for every rank that you made, you had to be trainable up to that rank. For every time that you pull that trigger down range where you were qualifying for your weapon, if you missed the target, you had to be trainable so that the person that was coaching you said, hey, look, you're pulling too much to the left. Your breathing is off. Your sight is off. You need to adjust this. You need to adjust that. You need to hold your weapon a little bit tighter, pull it into your shoulder. All of those things are trainable. All of those things are trainable, to include the conversation that you had with your NCO that you didn't like having in the first place, but when you left, what happened? You got it right. So, there's the things that the veteran brings to the table that most people, I won't say don't necessarily won't bring, but it's about being acceptance and about what you're getting ready to do.
You have an advantage. It's not, you're right.
Right.
It's not that other people don't have it, but you have a competitive advantage. Just coming out of the military, you have a competitive advantage that if we could help you transition that skill into the civilian world, it's fantastic. Unfortunately,
Right.
the transition
and the key is right. And the key is that what we're trying to do, to all the veterans out there, and even Daisy, is we're not trying to get you when you leave, we're trying to get you before you leave. And that helps with the level of anxiety. So, a lot of my friends, we all sat around the table one time and everybody was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to do this. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, I'll know it when I see it. Those are the kind of things that says you have no idea and you're flying by the seat of your pants. And people in uniform, and this, Daisy, you don't fly by the seat of your pants while
No.
you're in mission,
No,
right?
sir.
But now you're getting ready to transition, and what you thought you were prepared to do, you weren't prepared because you didn't have number one, you didn't have all the information. And number two, you probably weren't even ready to go.
And it's like it's a different way of life.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Well, and it is a different way of life. But the things that you're bringing to the different way of life don't change.
That's true.
Those things should, for the most part, stay the same. Yeah, you're nervous. Yeah, you're scared. Retirees don't have too much of an issue because you're going to get a pension. But for those who leave without a pension, that's kind of scary, because it's like,
Right.
okay, I'm getting ready to go out here and I've got an interview. I got, is me carrying a weapon going to translate into being a law statistician? Is me carrying a weapon going to translate to me in being a supervisor, manager? Absolutely. Because the things one thing that the military has taught every single person to be is a thinker.
True.
It's good. Yeah, it's fantastic.
There was something though that I found, the message of the orientation, and anything is possible if you are trainable. That was really something that was said over and over, and that is so true, because anything is possible if you are trainable. And the training, it provides the corporate structure, it gives you training and resources needed to win in the mortgage industry. That is something that no matter, it makes you well equipped to go out there and find loans and make a profit. Gainful, we used to call it being gainfully employed.
That's good. That's good. That was very rich that what you both just said, and you covered a lot, Russell. It was really great. I mean, I invite anybody that hears me say this, you should listen to everything you just said and how Daisy kind of put the ball around it. Two things that came up for me in what you're saying. One is, about the military. I think it was, don't quote me on the person's name because I don't remember the names, but I remember the face and I remember the statement about recently the Joint Chiefs of Staff, retired generals and Joint Chiefs of Staffs and cabinet members from the military. They put out this statement, this letter, within the last 6 months, maybe a year, how basically pointing to the men in the military, how they need to stay apolitical, that reminding those that need a reminder, because the overwhelming majority, I don't think, need a reminder, but really just setting it straight that if you're in the military to protect and defend, I keep on saying the Charters of Freedom, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, but you're here to defend and protect America and all that's possible under those charters. You're not here to be Republican or Democrat or independent or Green Party or progressive or none of that. You could have that, but that's not your job. Your job is the Charters of Freedom. And when you come from there, all those other things get taken care of. The moment you turn your bent into any one of them, the other ones, that's not the Charters of Freedom. So one of the things that I heard that's really great, like a job for a veteran, aside from a job like work, is when you come out into the world, I'm going to say it this way, but man, do we need somebody to train America on the Charters of Freedom. I mean, really, it's got to get past these 2 or 3, freedom of speech, right to wear a gun, whatever. It's got to get past that. That is not America. That's part of America. And so I see like there's a possibility, like an opportunity, like almost an army of educators on the Constitution. But it's just missing. It's just completely missing. And then I empathize with veterans because, man, civilian life is hard. It's tough. It's all over the place. Capitalism is ruthless. At the same time,
I find myself constantly having to dress right dress. I know Lieutenant Colonel Brownfield probably know what not probably, it's dress right dress.
Tell me, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Tell me.
When you were in formation and they said dress right dress, and you have to ensure that you're in step or in a straight line to the people next to you. Yeah, I find myself having
it's called
to kind of dress right dress.
Dress, D-R-E-S-S?
No, right, D-R-E-S, dress right
Yes.
dress.
Dress right dress. It's like she said, it's what it is. It's a command that when you have a group of men and women who are in a formation, okay, and they will say dress right dress. Everybody lines up on one individual, and you are looking to your right to ensure that you are in line, and that when the platoon sergeant or squad leader looks down that line, they see one person. So what that meant was you are to be invisible. You're not to be out there outside of the rank. You're not to be out of line. You're in line with the person to your right, and I can't see you. And then and then if he did, he would say, third person in rank, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, right there, don't move. And so what he wanted to do was to ensure that when they looked down the line, they saw the person in front of them. They did not see, and they would step 1 forward, step 1 back, step 1 forward, step 1 back, to make sure that you were in perfect alignment with that first person. So dress right dress is simply meaning to be in alignment with the first person. And if you use it as MLO, or you use it in any kind of reference to life, you have to be in line with what's right, what's supposed to be at the top and at the front of the line.
And that's great. That's great because this is such a good segue. So first of all, you have to be trainable to have somebody tell you step left. You can't turn around and say, well, I want to go right. Well, I want to go left. Well, I don't want to wear that dress. I want all that stuff, hemming and hawing that, people do today. Just, can you please wait at the red light before you cross? I would stop at the red light before I cross. And people say, why are you stopping? He goes, because there's kids watching me. I don't want these kids to think that it's okay to cross at the red light. I'm going to understand we're at a grammar school, elementary school. So the trainability of that soldier, that officer, the people, the men and women who could hear the command is priceless. It's priceless. Now you bring that into the mortgage business and you're having a conversation. Well, how hard is the mortgage business? It's dress right dress. It's dress right dress. It's this simple. There's a line of lenders who want to lend to a line of borrowers. All you have to do is align their request with these conditions that the person has. And click,
wow, yeah.
Click,
yeah.
click.
Brilliant.
Now,
Brilliant.
that's it. That's all it is.
Brilliant.
That's really all it is. It's all I do in the customer service world is I happen to know the knowledge of what the lenders want. You tell me your circumstances, and then I connect the dots to match. Because there is always somebody who wants to match.
Right.
You can, it's not useful to get mad, upset, and upset because your conditions don't meet the conditions of what you need to do is have your move, step left, step right, step to the side so you can match or find someone that matches. Here's the other thing. Yeah. This is going to be almost comical. One of the hardest things I've heard from people and hear from people when they get into the mortgage business is filling out an application. And this is in one of the trainings we covered. I go, well, how hard is it to fill out an application? Well, I don't know. It's difficult. It looks, it's all good. I go, it's very simple. When my daughter was 12, I asked her to fill out an application. Just to experiment. You know how hard it is to fill out an application? You know how fast it is? How long it is? It's as simple as looking at the application and filling out name, first and last, address, phone number, Social Security. A 12-year-old can fill out a mortgage application. Once you get past the fear of all that noise. So when you first said dress right dress, I was like, whoa, I had this vision in my head of those lines of those military, everybody in step. Cut to the civilian world, it's like Central Park, everybody's all over the place. Good luck trying to get that crowd of people to get online, right? So you have to be able to, like think fast, think slow, we were talking about before. So you have to be able to go, how do you get this crowd of conversations to get in line like this over here? That's a skill set. And if you're in the military and you already have that skill set, that's half the battle. Use the word battle. That's half the training. Now you just, use it for the mortgage business. Or use it for, quite frankly, use it for anything you want. Use it to work at Home Depot, stocking shelves. I don't know. The point is, you might as well use it for something you can make a lot of money. That's my 2 cents about that.
Yeah, what
that's
you
fabulous.
just talked to, what you just said was what we call, when you said Central Park in the military, we call that herding cats.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, because they got a mind and they're only going to do what they want to do. You say, come on, get over here, cat. And it's like, I'm laying down, man. I'm playing with this ball. Leave me alone.
Not to get into a pandemic conversation. I'll say 30 seconds of it. My daughter, who was in junior high at the time, she goes, Dad, is it? I mean, when I look back at it, this was like month 5, 6, 7 into it. She goes, if we all would have just stayed indoors for like 30 days, maybe 60 days, but let's say 30 days, like they asked for 2 weeks. If everybody would have just stopped, okay, let's just stay indoors for 30 days. What do you think would have happened? I said a lot better than what happened when nobody stayed home for 10 minutes. Because at the end of the day, the virus is like anything else. If it doesn't have a place to go, it doesn't have a place to go. So it got a place, it had just too many places to go. And that's never going to end. A virus is just another organism, like, life, only it's a virus life. And so that's like, if everybody would have dressed right, dressed.
Dress right dress, yeah.
it
Gotten in
would have
line.
been, it would have been a whole different world. But, you know, we're a country of don't tell me what to do, right? And the funny thing is, the Charters of Freedom, what the military does, protects the people's don't tell me what to do.
It does.
It's kind
Yes,
of,
it
that's
does.
the iron of it. That's the iron of it. Let's try to wrap this up, and I'd like to
Yep.
address in the world of wrapping it up. First of all, anything that you both want to share and say. But 9/11 is upon us. Tomorrow's 9/11. And that was a time where for maybe a minute, a good portion of the country did dress right, dressed in the world of getting behind the United States, America, the flag, you know, our country. It's unfortunate that for a lot of people in their lives, nevertheless, as a country, it takes a major tragedy or an event of violence like that, a war, for us to dress right, dressed. If you get anything out of at least my speaking, is that it'd be great to dress right, dress with the Charters of Freedom. And I'm going to repeat the Charters of Freedom over and over and over and over, probably forever. I'm making sure my daughters know what that is. I'm clear that the country doesn't know what that is as a whole. I'm clear that's one of the things that's missing, the education that's required. What are we here for? Including capitalism. Capitalism has lost its way. How could you say that? Well, because I could say anything in America, right? I could say that if we all started to dress right, dress with what the Charters of Freedom represent, at least a lot of the hate and violence and internal strife that we have here in our country might start to dissipate, not disappear, but get transformed. Like we could educate ourselves out of it. Really educate yourself out of it. Your right to swing your fist stops at my nose. You could swing your fist all you want, but I'll never champion physical violence or legislative violence that's unmitigated. And veterans, even though you're complete in the military, I think that that part of the mission, it would be a privilege and a benefit to this country if veterans continued that part of the mission to educate the civilian world on the Charters of Freedom, because it's missing. It's just missing. That's all, it's just missing. Once it's in place, other things are possible. So that's my 2 cents about 9/11. We got behind 9/11 for a tragedy. We could get past any tragedy in America with a possibility. And the possibility of the Charters of Freedom is still alive and well. The possibilities, the opportunities, that's what they are, possibilities and opportunities. They could disappear in a second. I don't know, I got all excited there with my 9/11 speech.
Yeah, well, you're right. 9/11 united a lot of people, not just in the U.S. but across the country, across the world. But 9/11 is totally different than January 6th. And so, you know, we were united because we as the United States of America were attacked from the outside. But what does that say about how we view each other when we attack each other from the inside? So 9/11 reminds us of how we stuck together when there was an outside threat. January 6th needs to be a lesson on how we need to stick together when we are threatened from an inside threat. And we've not answered that question yet. We're still fumbling around with that. Because we're going to be a nation of, just like you said, Lou, and it's is accurate as it can all be. We're a nation of I do what I want to do, or you can't tell me what to do. We didn't say that in 9/11. We really didn't. We were it wasn't you couldn't tell me what to do. It was what could I do? That's what happened on 9/11. We were attacked, and I don't even think we had time to be afraid because we were angry. We were upset. But for January 6th, what were we reacting to? Because on September 11th, we were reacting to something that happened to us. Now, for January 6th, we're reacting to what's happened within us. And that is a whole different mentality and if you want, paradigm, because you can protect yourself from something outside, but it's hard to protect yourself from something from within. It's like the body, someone comes up to try to hit you with a bat, you can block and put things up, but when you've got something going inside your body, you've got to do something to protect yourself from within, whether it is a mental, spiritual, or physical thing that's going on. So September 11th was when we came together as a country because we knew what had happened. We came together and said we cannot allow this to happen again from the outside. But now we're talking about from within.
It's a
Yeah,
opportunity
is
for
true.
cleansing. Daisy, anything you want to say? Because that's
Yes, September 11th, to me, protect and defend was standing tall, we were standing tall, we were ready. For January 6th, I think we are still out waiting for an answer.
Yeah.
We have not had a response. We have not had, has not been a cure. And then it makes you wonder, then what are we protecting and what are we defending?
Yeah.
That question comes to mind.
well. Let's stay with the question, and I trust that anybody that's listening, you're going to create an answer that's worthy of the charters of freedom, and love and peace, love and peace. Daisy, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the recording, but let's stay on and talk a little bit, okay?
Right, sirs, thank you so much for your time. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely. Same here.